Hello everyone, I'm back again. I'm not in my workshop, nor am I in um, the room that I made my last video in. Today I am in a hotel, and good chance that the bulk of the next upcoming videos will be done in hotels, by the way. That is the primary reason why I designed the rig the way I did. My job has me traveling to different cities and states all the time, and I needed something that can come with me in my vehicle. I'm not going to be throwing any dice today just yet. I debated about whether or not I was actually going to make this video because I wanted to explain a little further as to what I intend to determine with my experiments, specifically with regards to dice influence. But I'm afraid I'm not actually going to go into what dice influence or dice control, depending on who you're talking to. I'm not going to go into what that is. That if you're watching this in order to learn more about what dice influence is or dice control, depending again who you're talking to, I'm going to call it dice influence just because that seems to be a little more widely accepted of a term. But if you want to learn more about dice influence, that's a whole different ball of wax. There are plenty of individuals that offer that information free and for a cost. All over the internet as it is. It's the same information that I've already used to learn more about what it is to begin with. I would suggest you go there to find out what the heck dice influence truly is, what the mechanics are, the specifics. I don't intend to show you any of that here. In fact, if anything, these videos are designed for those that are already familiar with the concept of dice influence and want to see what raw data can be made available in order to, again, confirm or deny the existence of, or at least help confirm or deny the existence or possibility of dice influence is what I should say. To say the existence would mean I'm the end-all be-all, and I'm not. If I succeed, pardon me, if my evidence lends towards dice influence actually existing, that does not mean that everyone who tries and practices is going to accomplish it. If the evidence I produce does not lend towards dice influence, it doesn't mean that it couldn't happen with somebody else. But as far as I can tell, ain't nobody tried this yet. Ain't nobody tried to actually demonstrate from scratch all the way down to what is generally accepted as being enough time to start demonstrating some sort of trend towards dice influence. I think that from what I've been able to tell, that can take anywhere between 6 months to a couple of years of I say damn near daily practice. I'm going to try. I know that there will be days when I can't produce data. It's just going to happen. It's called life. But I'm going to try to do as much as I can without any serious gaps in between. We'll just have to see. But right now, first of all, I guess I should have said this earlier on in the video. Pardon me. I apologize for the quality, the lighting. It's not designed for show, per se. I'm making do with what I have in the hotel room here. What I have in front of me here, though, are a couple of dice. Matter of fact, I would have started doing some of the work I hoped to do earlier, but when I ordered some dice online, unfortunately, when I ordered Casino Razor Cut dice, these were what were sent instead. You can see the corners are somewhat rounded, the edges are not razor cut, they're not serialized in any way. These are designed for board games. I ordered 2 sticks, each stick being 5. They sent me 2 bags, each one having 5 of these. Unfortunately, my roommate's dog got into one of them and chewed up one of the dice to snot. So I was not able to return the set of 5 that included that one die, but I did return the other already. So since I couldn't return, maybe I could, I wasn't going to. Instead, my roommate bought them. So he's letting me borrow these for demonstration purposes only, for this particular video. What I'm going to try to accomplish with my data is to gain enough skill, if that's even possible, to throw the dice as to where one of the things is they spin on axis. When you are a successful dice influencer, you set the dice on the table with a certain configuration. Some people like the ones facing up to facing actually towards them, and then when they'll grab it a certain way to hold them together. I'm not going to go into the mechanics of that. Again, you want to know that? It's out there. Grab it and then throw it in a very specific fashion, not like I did. When the dice fly through the air, one of the key components of a successfully thrown pair of dice is that when they leave your hand, they spin. Basically, if I were throwing it at you at the camera, whatever. If you were if you were standing at the other end of the craps table and I was throwing it towards you, as they leave my fingers, they would spin in a backspin, and they were supposed to spin as if they were physically glued together. So when they spin in unison. They don't necessarily have to be touching per se, but they do have to spin together in unison as if they were glued together. Some people describe it as if they were an axle in between, like a stick going in between, and they're spinning together. Okay? I'm going to try to accomplish that. Another key aspect of a successfully thrown pair of dice is it will reach the end of the table, smack onto the table flat. Oh, try to get there. Flat. Of course, that's to do that repeatedly. That's where skill and talent come in. Skill can be learned. Talent is natural. So I don't know if I have that talent. Haven't tried. Again, time may tell. Maybe I can succeed at it. Other people cannot because they don't have talent that I have. I don't know. Maybe I won't be able to succeed because I just don't have that natural talent and other people do. You get the point. If the dice, when they're coming down, don't land flat, of course, the other options are to land on its edge, on the long edge, or maybe the corner. Now, like a football, it lands on the corner, it's going to fly cattywampus. That's a no good. So if it lands on the edge, at least it has the possibility of maintaining its same 4 side of dice facing the same direction, if that makes sense. Because remember, you're throwing it and the same 4 are going like this. After it lands on the ground, it's supposed to, if it's successful enough, it should just touch the wall and fall back down. In order to accomplish that, you're supposed to try to get the dice to land fairly close to the back wall. Yes, there's alligator back, the pyramids back there. That pyramid is a big proponent of, or excuse me, a big reason why those that are opposed to the concept of dice influence, because of how those pyramids are designed to randomize the roll. Regardless of how skillful you are in getting these to spin however you want, because it's going to hit those pyramids in different spots every time, again, it's supposed to make the dice roll all cattywampus. The counter to that from dice influence proponents is that when it hits the table before bouncing, it expels a bunch of energy, taps the wall, and falls down, hopefully with very little energy left, kinetic energy left, and therefore will have very little energy to roll cattywampus. Clearly, it's not going to happen 100%, because yes, there will be times when you don't throw it exactly on spot on the way it's supposed to be. It's going to hit one of the pyramids on the wall wrong, and you're going to end up getting a randomized roll, and it will end up as a 7. I don't think there's a single a single self-proclaimed successful dice influencer that says that they can roll the dice so that the 7 never comes up. This is actually why they say dice influencer. They don't control it, they influence it. They give it a nudge into, whatever. So their whole thing is to stave off the 7 a little longer, or stave off other numbers a little longer than what a normal randomized set of rolls would normally produce. So I have to first be able to practice the proper grip. I already told you before that I'm going to, when I set the dice, because setting the dice is part of it, choosing your set is apparently pretty key, depending on how you want the dice to be influenced. I'm not trying to produce certain results. I'm always going to try to throw them so that the ones are facing up, the 2s, hello, there you go. The 2s are set so that when I grab them, it will be facing, if the back table that I'm going to throw towards is over there, it will, I guess we'll having a hard time doing this. It will be so that I'll set the 2s facing me, grab them, and hold them like this and throw them that way. So the 2s will be behind, where my thumb is, I guess is what I'm saying. You want to understand the grips and where the thumb and the importance of the thumb, again, go look elsewhere. But the 2s will be where my thumb is. And that's where I'm going to hold the dice and throw, as far as I know, every time, at least at first. I don't know. There may be a good reason for me to change in the future. We'll see. But that's basically what it boils down to. So I first have to practice my grip. I have to practice proper physical torso and arm position. Here's going to be a problem I guess I'm going to have with my experiments. I am not going to have a throwing station that will properly mimic an actual craps table. I'm not going to have something that would normally represent the physical resistance I would have from the chip rack and padded armrest. I will not have that. I know that there are some of those available for purchase. I'm not going to spend the money on those. They are too bulky. They are too cumbersome for someone who travels as much as I do. Need to keep it in my vehicle along with all my work equipment. It's just not feasible. Maybe at some point I can produce one of my own I don't know, but I'm not doing it right now, at least. So I'm not going to be able to properly reproduce that. That could be used as an argument to invalidate this experiment, I understand. I hope that it will not be enough of a deterrent to as to invalidate all of my data. The experiment is not trying to see whether or not someone can can influence dice rolls at a casino table per se. It's whether it can be done at all. So if it could be done at all, then at that point, it's a matter of fine-tuning the situation to see whether or not it can be done at a table versus in a hotel room. Makes sense? So, I mean, one step at a time. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an accountant. I'm not even a statistics person. I came up with this on my own as a harebrained scheme. I don't know if it's going to do any good. I hope it does. After practicing a proper grip, practicing a proper positioning of my torso and my arms, and especially my throw. I'm right-handed, so I'll be throwing with my right hand, making sure that everything is as straight as it's supposed to be or bent as it's supposed to be, depending on the particular part of the anatomy. And at that point, the next thing that needs to be practiced is, honestly, the release. I was about to go into the throw, but no, the actual release. You have to release it a certain way so that the dice leave your hand in a certain way. You just can't go, eh. You can't even, you can't do that either. I'm afraid it has to be done in a proper fashion. Not releasing the dice in a proper fashion can produce undesired results as well. So I have to practice that. That part in itself is said to take months, if not longer. But I'll practice my grip, probably off camera, off video. That's just to make sure that my fingers grip the dice in the proper spot, at least what should be a proper spot. And after that, I'll figure out what basically what my arm should feel like, and as far as like what needs to be bent, what needs to be straight, and what direction and stuff like that, especially with wrist and from elbow down, pretty much. And then after that will be when it comes to practicing the release, getting the proper landing zone. Some schools say within 6 inches of the back wall. Some have said 8 or 9. I'm going to try for 6 inches. Being able to get that done reliably. And then, of course, like I said, try to get it to tap. Once it does land, tap and tap. Since my playing surface is 12 inches from wall to edge, if it rolls all the way off the edge, I'm not going to count that roll. When I document it, I will still put whatever results are up, but I will mark it in such a way so that it can indicate that it was not necessarily a properly controlled throw. It didn't meet the criteria of staying on the playing surface and avoiding the sides. If it touches the sides, it falls off, it's basically a foul, and I'll still document what the results were. I'll just have to mark it so that everybody can understand as time goes on. If there are less of those, and we know why, it's because I was able to gain enough skill to not allow that to happen. And then, of course, the results. If you really want to get, the reason I'm going to go ahead and document what the dice ended up showing is because if we're at a real table, for example, and the dice were to roll 3 feet away from the wall after hitting the wall, the dealer isn't going to say, sorry, No, they're going to count it. So that's why I document it. That way the information is available for whoever thinks it might be pertinent. But when it's all said and done, once I have all my data produced, then, or at least as data gets produced over time, somebody can take it and use whatever calculations they need and produce actual information with that data. Telling me and the world, hey, yeah, look, he was doing this at the beginning, and over time he did this, or no, he's a knucklehead. Here he is doing this in the beginning, and he's still doing it 2 years later. Whatever the heck, you are the ones that will turn the raw data into information. I'm just producing the data. I haven't the foggiest of what to do with it. I'm going to leave these open for comments. So that people can help me make sure that I produce data that's actually usable on a wider scale, as opposed to narrowing it down so that only a certain group of people can use them. No, I want it to be available to as many people as possible, and that means making modifications as I go along that I don't know about. I think I'm going to throw about 50 times a session. Chances are it will be towards the end of the day after working, as opposed to in the morning before I go to work, and that is because there are too many times when I have to be at work at 7 a.m. and depending on getting up early enough to get ready, throw dice on camera, pack it all up, take it out to my car, get to work on time. Hey, I like you guys, but you're not worth me losing my job because I run late or I lose track of time. So I will probably do them at the end of the day, or if it's on a weekend, someday when I don't work, like right now, whatever, then of course I'll have some more flexibility on time, maybe even do more than one session at a time. If I understand it correctly, for practice, 50 throws a session is not unheard of. It's fairly common. It allows enough practice for muscle memory to be established, which is a key part of this, and helps to prevent the practicer from getting too fatigued, because if I'm going to put these materials at a similar level to what is normally at a craps table, then there will be a significant amount of bending over to grab the dice, hold them, and throw them, just as there would be at a real craps table. That brings up another point here. If I were doing it in this room, for example, based on the availability of materials in this room, I have to be able to set the playing surface at a typical height of a playing surface in a casino. I have to make sure there's a proper allotted distance from the back wall of my practice rig to the point of where I'm throwing. It is often, unfortunately, I took some notes from some research I did last night. It's on my laptop, and my laptop is not with me at the moment, so I'm sorry. I don't remember exactly how many feet, but I remember it's something like somewhere around 8 or 10 feet, if I recall correctly, which means that I will probably practice throwing from roughly 8 to 10 feet from the back wall. I'll probably have a better understanding, a better idea of how far it will be when that actual time comes, which I'm hoping will be here in a day or two. Now that in the room like this, I have the rig itself. I don't have a table or anything to go underneath it. That, I'm afraid, would just be too cumbersome at the moment. If that ends up being a deal breaker for too many people to truly honor my results, then I may have to say heck it and get a folding table. I really don't want to. It will make life incredibly difficult during my travels, and I may just scrap the whole thing in that case. It really depends. So if I can get away with this without using an actual folding table with the standard height every time, that'd be best. But in a case like this, what I might end up having to do is put the rig on one end of, like, say, a king-size bed and throwing from somewhere on the other side. This here is a king-size bed. There are some hotels I stay on that have 2 queen beds. So I'll put it on one bed and stand on the other. Whenever I do set up the rig before recording, I will try to document for verification purposes on a video. I'm going to try to get a small bubble level, put it on the playing surface, showing that it's level both left and right and forward and back. So it's not so that no one can say that it's off kilter and skewing the results. I think that is about everything. When it comes to actual recording and footage, I'm still a little iffy on how I'm going to accomplish recording everything. I'm going to continue to use my phone as I'm doing here right now. My phone, I discovered, has the ability to record from both the front camera and rear camera at the same time. If I can find a way to rig my phone where it will stay both out of the way of the throws and within enough zone where it can keep things in focus, both the end results and the throw, to show that I am in fact gripping it properly and not just going that would be best. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I will try. I think that's it. I think that's everything. If I haven't posted anything about these videos anywhere, so I don't expect to get any comments on these anytime soon. I imagine if comments do pop up, it'll be months down the road, and then this is all, a lot of this information I've already figured out by then, is what I estimate. If I'm wrong, if you happen to catch this in the next day or two, right now it is September 12th, 2020, almost midnight, so it may be September 13th, Sunday morning, I don't know. But at least when I started this, it was the 12th, Saturday night. If you get this within, like I said, a couple of days, great, wonderful. You have feedback, constructive feedback, by all means. Thank you much. If tomorrow, my plan is to hit the road to go out of state, and when I reach the hotel, to actually set things up and see whether or not I can go ahead and at least start practicing the grip and the arm mechanics, so that when it is time to start recording actual tosses, that you're hopefully not going to end up watching a whole bunch of negative of bogus throws. I really don't know what terminology I'm going to use. Throws that don't qualify. They miss the playing surface altogether. If it goes over, or if it misses the playing surface altogether, I'm calling that like dice off the table. I'll just say replicated as if I were at a table and threw the damn things too hard and it hit somebody playing blackjack. Or if they do hit the playing surface and bounce over, then again, I'll record it as if the same thing happened at a table. I know that there have been a couple of craps tables where I played that were extra bouncy, and that happened a hell of a lot of times, so it's not unheard of. I have not thrown any dice on my playing surface yet. I did not want Razor casino dice, Razor cut casino dice only have so many throws. If I remember correctly, somebody said a maximum of 300 throws on these dice before you pretty much need to replace them. Because at that point, the edges will be too modified from original factory condition to make a difference, and no casino would use them when they're that worn down anyway. All right, that's why I got as many as I did. I got 5 pairs. If I do it 50 throws a session, all right, then it should be fairly easy to track when I've reached 3,000 throws for a pair. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, as you can tell, this is not scripted. I don't know what, I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. I see now this video has been much longer than I first intended it to be. My apologies. But I will hopefully produce some actual data soon. Take care and have a good night.